also, I mean, I see you and through social media, like, I don't know if you were like the headliner, but like just in Florida, you were like on the main stage during the day. Were you the headliner?
Oh my gosh, I was not the headliner, but I was speaking
pretty darn close.
It was a pretty prestigious opportunity. It was about 13,000, I think is what I heard. Not that they all came to my session at once, but a 13,000 person.
Right, because they couldn't get in.
They couldn't get
was,
in.
Right, it was only a 10,000 seat.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, down the aisles. I saw it. It was pretty amazing.
No, that was a super exciting opportunity. I got to speak at USA CBD Expo, and they put on a lot of national events, and so I'm trying to get into the thought leadership circuit because for us, if I'm being really honest, CBD is CBD as long as you find high quality CBD. What I care about is educating consumers on what to look for, how to use the product, to find out kind of like what is the best mix for them. And so speaking opportunities allows us to have that opportunity to have a platform to just, like I said, get people to talk about cannabis and destigmatize it.
Right.
So if I can go up on stage and be a, pleasant figure who talks about my experience through my accident and then building our brand through this like turbulent kind of legal, illegal area, maybe give someone else, some insight or some hope into like, okay, maybe CBD's for me. Like maybe I could be a part of that. And so it's been a lot of fun. So yeah, I was just in Miami. I just got asked to speak at one in Denver. I have one in Dallas coming up. And then hoping to go to Vegas later in the year for another massive show. So
nice.
Yeah.
And not all of them are just CBD shows, but
right. Well, right. I mean, Vegas, there's a lot of legal things in
Denver,
Vegas.
Yeah.
This is true. This is true. I certainly love going to legal states and participating in all the cannabis.
I learned a lot from being in a legal state, just about CBD compared to, the THC and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's super educational, based on that. So
when it legalizes in Texas in 2087.
Right.
I mean, I hope it's soon.
5 years or less. We're hoping 5 years or less.
I mean, that would be
speculation.
great.
That would be nice federally too.
Well, so we think it potentially might happen federally before it happens on a state level. But even then, the speculation too is it'll happen federally, and then they'll still leave it up to the state. So then in that case, Texas is like 87 years later.
Yeah, that's But at the end of the day, it's important for us to understand, and I brought her on as an entrepreneur, as a local business owner. We've brought on. This is not meant to be a tongue-in-cheek episode. Like we talked about the glass, and we use the euphemisms like the Willie Nelson culture and the stuff in the past. But I brought you on because I like you said, they see a face. It's like kind of a relatable. It's not your stereotypical individual, right?
I appreciate that.
Where are your dreadlocks?
Yeah, exactly. Where are your dreadlocks?
Where's your tattoos? Where's your patchouli? I can tell you she's not wearing patchouli.
No patchouli here.
No. Yeah, and not, again, I have lots of friends with
all of those things.
I like to use the analogy, it's like why Walmart and Target are in business.
Oh, yeah.
They both have customers that love to shop at them. And if I'm being honest, there is a time and place for which I'm a customer of both stores.
Right.
But where do I feel most comfortable making purchases from a quality perspective, an accessibility perspective? Those are things that I think a consumer is thinking through when it comes to cannabis, especially since everything's been painted as like, reefer madness and THC and it's, this devil's weed and it's going to have all this like negative outcomes.
Yeah.
It's really exciting. I think when we launched the brand, in case you can't tell, I'm a millennial. I'm in my late 20s. My sister and co-founder's in her mid 20s. So we're both female, 20-year-old-ish range. We wanted to create an accessible brand for our demographic. And what we realized is while those people are curious, the majority of our customers are 55 plus, meaning they have been on medication for some time. They're hitting the age where you're getting put on medication for X, Y, or Z ailments. I think even myself coming out of the accident, what I'm realizing and what I've realized through our business is everybody is in pain at some point. You're not immune to pain. It doesn't matter how much money you make, what side of the street you grew up on, your disposition in life, like you're going to be in pain, your age, like you're going to hit pain at some point, and how you manage and treat that pain is really critical to the longevity and the quality of your life. So unfortunately, I see a lot of people who they grew up in an era where it was really easy to give a prescription and to give a pill. And so now you see people who are 20 plus years on the same medication and they're coming in and they're like, Shada, I don't like the way that this is treating my body. I can tell that it's taking a toll on my kidney, my liver. And you're like, I want you to try plants.
Right.
And I don't know if plants can be the end all be all, but from my position as somebody in her late 20s, the power of cannabis is real and it's effective, and like what I've learned and what I've observed, and like I can only hope that that proves true as I age through life and hopefully can mitigate some of these ailments and diseases that I've seen so many of our customers walk through the doors experiencing.
And I will speak as somebody, and I'll take it up to Generation X. Not only have never tried CBD until the first time I walked into your shop a year ago, I'd never tried cannabis in any of its forms until 2 years ago.
I didn't know that about you.
And so it's not like I'm just this old, pothead. It's
Right.
smoked since I'm 15, and
Right.
like I was. Me,
whatever.
I'm the picture of that.
Yeah,
No,
yeah,
and I
yeah.
mean it's funny because I worked in like a younger environment in the tech sort of
Yeah.
field, and so being around younger people and I didn't try a lot of the stuff, but I felt comfortable trying cannabis and what it's done for me, as well as the CBD side of it and the hemp side of it. I would definitely be a proponent of it and say that at any time, at any stage, being a 40-year-old guy, 36 to like 45 is that time in life where you start doing things that you're like, oh, I shouldn't have done that.
Oh yeah.
Like my bursitis started because I went and played basketball with a bunch of 24-year-olds for 4 hours when I hadn't played for like 5 years, which is not an intelligent decision.
No, but you
You thought
forget,
you could, yeah.
You forget that you're not young anymore.
Yeah, like on the
Especially-
basketball court, I was reminded constantly because I'm like, choo-choo-choo, and then I'm like, oh, the ball's over there.
Yeah. And especially if you're working around people that are, 10 to 12 years younger than you,
Yeah.
Or 15 years younger than you, you're like, but I
wanna keep up.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
wanna-
But we get along really well, so
Yeah.
I must be able to do what you can
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I
The
get
answer's
it.
not always yes.
Yeah.
Well, you wake up the next morning and you're like,
Oh, yeah. I
Yeah,
forgot.
yeah, same
oh
thing.
my body.
No, or like going out with them and just being like, me getting home and the next day I'm like, okay. And then they're like,
Yeah.
hey, what are you doing? And I'm like,
Yeah.
trying not to die,
Yeah.
you?
Right.
Like round 2, and you're like, not for another
I'm-
month and a half.
Exactly. So, getting back to what you said, any age, any demographic, any sort of situation, it can be a help.
People just take it for such varying things, whether it's anxiety, whether it's chronic pain, and like to be narrow-minded. Like people come in sometimes like, well, I want to take the CBD for sleep, and I'm like, you can take it for sleep, but like also be open-minded to like it helping with other things.
Right.
And then like they maybe come back and they're like, oh, well, I noticed that like I was less angry the next day because like it just helped chill me out, or maybe it helped that lower back pain go away when I was sleeping because I got a better deep night's rest, and it just like helped loosen my muscles. And I just think plants are so powerful. And
Right here,
knowing-
there's just a scrolling thing that says these statements not approved by the FDA.
Not approved by the
Each
FDA.
person's
Not approved by Restart CBD
so
either.
It says that. It's all running right
It's
here.
right here. You guys
Editors,
can't
everybody
see it,
hearing the
but-
editors.
Yeah, I got you.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, let's cover Shada's and my.
Thank you so much.
As Ollie says, this might only be on the dark web, but somebody might find it.
Somebody might find it.
yeah,
But you just, just being open-minded to like, I think some people argue there's a placebo effect. Maybe there's a placebo effect, but if a placebo effect helps you
Right.
feel ultimately better,
Yeah.
Who cares?
well,
if you
isn't
feel
that
better,
what
does it matter?
we're all
Yeah.
trying to get at? Is just
Right.
feeling better. So, that aside, I do think that CBD works, and it comes down to quality and dose and frequency. So we do get people who are like, well, I tried it and I don't know if it worked. Well, maybe you didn't try the right type. So you've observed, and your statement was like very like real of, maybe I tried the topical and the sublingual and it wasn't for me. Maybe you didn't isolate. You should try full spectrum, but smoking it is most fast acting. So there's
And I've been
different
told
ways
like
to.
smoking it has cannabinoids that the isolate doesn't.
But so there's full spectrum products that have those other cannabinoids and terpenes in oil and topical. So
So now I know.
Yeah,
There's
we've
all
tried them all. I
just-
mean, in my house we have all the oils. We
Yeah.
give it to the dogs.
Yeah.
We do it all because one of our dogs had distemper, and so
Yeah.
he was like basically brain damaged. So to help his brain develop more, we gave
Yeah.
him CBD and fish oil and all this other stuff.
pets was a big one. I feel like
Yeah.
when people
Yeah,
like they
yeah. Mm-hmm.
love their pets so much. Like we got so many customers when we first launched. We launched like a pet product.
Yeah.
Because people really truly love their pets and like want to give them things that help
sure.
ease their quality of their life. And so we had a lot of people who came into the shop and were like, so I'm here for my pet. And I'm like, well, have you ever taken CBD yourself? They're like, no, not for me, but
It's
for like
just
Mimsy,
for-
yes.
yeah,
Like
exactly.
she wants it. She's anxious. She's in
Yeah,
pain.
yeah.
And you start to see people's like perspective change, and they're like, oh, well, it helped my pet. Okay, well now maybe for me. And so I
Right.
just think there's all these different avenues of how
Let
people
me
are getting
experiment on the
exposed.
pet in my house first, and if the pet's okay,
I have people that give it to their kids for ADHD.
Yeah, for sure.
Just like
I mean,
anxiety in general. Like I had one woman who was like, my daughter's 7 and she just hates going to school and we don't want to put her on pills. So I heard this could help. And just to see parents' mind shifts change too.
Sure. Right.
And you're like, this is a plant.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
this can give your child less anxiety in theory and hopefully mitigate them going to prescription pills. And so I think, as our society continues to evolve, we care about what we're putting in our bodies. Medication is, I think, a really big area that we're so blindly trusting. Like, unfortunately, I get a lot of customers who come in, and it's not unfortunate, it's just the nature of what we grew up in. How much do I take? How often do I take it? And when? CBD doesn't work like that. CBD is very much like intuitive to, what are you trying to treat?
Right.
When do you feel like taking it? The side effect of too much CBD is drowsiness. So figuring out, maybe you take a little bit in the daytime for anxiety, a lot more in the evening for chronic pain, which is how I use it. I take a little bit versus a lot, just depending on what I'm treating.
Right.
It's the same product. It's
Right.
not like there's a different product for these different ailments, but you get people who are like, well, I need the pill that does this, and I need you to tell me how often to take it. And it's like, shh, stop listening to your doctors, try to just feel the plant out. And I know that's not what everybody wants to hear all the time. They want some sort of guidance, but I think that's where our store and our brand really comes to connect those dots of like, look, I can't tell you everything that you can take it for and how explicitly it's going to help improve the quality of your life, but I can have a conversation and share my experience, which can hopefully shed some light for what you might be wanting to take it for. So we're just all about education and oversharing. So that's what you want. That's come to Restart.
There you go. So, and here's the thing, like you said, it's accessible. It is becoming more acceptable in our society. It's accessible, it's acceptable, and ultimately it is finding out if it's right for you. I appreciate that you've come on the show. For those of you who don't know, she had she still does the whole, I went and tried this restaurant, and then I went and tried this. And so she's back there, and she's like, oh, come on, are you ready? But she's come in, she is, in spite, working all day. It is 11 o'clock at night, 11:15 at night. She's worked all day. Then she's gone to, poor thing, had to go try new restaurants and eat at new bars or drink at new bars. And now she's coming here to talk to us. And so we appreciate you taking the time to do that.
I appreciate you guys for having me on the show.
We'll have all of her ats, all of her sites, all of her stuff in the comments on YouTube. And as we share on Instagram as well. So thank you so much for coming in.
This is how we hold it, we will never change. From the